Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Here we're going to do an everyone solves on the new GAN 14. So I guess I'm here already, so I'll start off with my opinion. I think this is better than the GAN 13. Unfortunately, that's not good enough. Saying the 14 is better than the 13 does not make it the best puzzle. It doesn't even make it GAN's best puzzle because I still like the 12 better. I think they're going in the right direction, but as they increase the price of the cube and make a big deal out of all the features or the adjustment possibilities the cube has, it just doesn't strike me as a cube for super serious solvers. I think this is probably better for people who really like to play with their settings and like, you know, hardware aficionados who like to just adjust their cubes and see what's possible with the tech. So I didn't perform very well on this cube. I felt like I had to slow down my turning in order to be precise. And I already tried a lot of different combinations of features. I think the combinations of features itself is a challenge because there are so many ways for you to customize the cube. GAN doesn't give you a good starting point with the out-of-the-box experience, so it's pretty hard to figure out what exactly you can do with the cube relative to what you want. And I struggled with that, and even though I got some good times, there were some bad times in there as well, and my average was worse than I want. Definitely, I still think the GAN 12 is better. If you're choosing between and the 13, I think this is way better than the 13, but there's a reason all these good cubers are still using the 12. So in short, I would say this cube is pretty good, but that's not good enough because of the price and also the other cubes out there in the market. You know, the YS3M, the V9, the Tornado, the own company's GAN 12. I think all those cubes are still competitive with this, and I don't really have a good reason to recommend this over all the other cubes. My recommendation is to try this if you're interested. You know, if you're here visiting us, you can try it for free. If you're at a competition, you can see if other people have one that you can try. See if you like it for yourself. If you do, get the puzzle. If you don't, just know that there are a lot of other people who use other cubes that are completely happy. So that's about it for my opinion. Hope this was useful.
Hey guys, it's Jesse. I think the GAN 14 is going to be a pretty polarizing cube. I think there's going to be people who will get a lot out of it, but I don't think I am one of them. But first, let's talk about the things I do like about the cube. So I really like the turning feel. It's got that classic GAN crispiness to it, and also more of a lighter, airy feeling that I think is closer to the 12 than the 13 was. It of course feels very premium. GAN's plastic quality hasn't really changed much, but it still feels just as nice as the 12 and 13. And as for just how it feels to solve the cube, when I can actually turn the cube well, my solves are really quite good. As you can see here, I got some pretty solid times. Even got a last layer skip, which was actually kind of a bad solve because I messed up the third pair really bad, but whatever, it was a 6, I'll take it. But anyways, on to the things that I am not a big fan of. My main problem with the cube is that it's just uncontrollable in a lot of different ways. Even on the tightest settings, the cube to me just feels a bit loose and wobbly, and it's just insanely fast. We put an unbelievable amount of lube and it literally didn't change a thing. Like, it just did not slow the cube down at all. It would for a few solves and then it would just speed right back up again. We put silicone in here, didn't seem to make much of a difference. It seems like no matter how slow we make the cube, within doing like 20 or 30 solves or so, it's just speeds right back up to where it was originally, and it is too fast. I just cannot stress this enough. The cube is just flying out of our hands. It's popping, it's just locking up constantly. Like, it just hasn't been a great experience. And I know that some people are really gonna like how fast the cube is. Some people just really like these super fast GAN cubes, but I just cannot turn confidently on a cube like this. It's also still really locky. This is a problem I've had on a lot of GAN cubes, and it doesn't really seem to be any better on this one. And it definitely feels like a skill issue. Like, I know my turning isn't the greatest, but GAN cubes are just the most unforgiving cubes for me. It just feels like if my turning isn't completely perfect, then I just get a solve ruining lockup. And also, the adjustment features are cool, but I think for most people it's just a little too much. So yeah, my hot take of the day, I actually like the 13 over this cube. I think it was more stable. It wasn't without its problems, but I felt more confident turning on that cube than I do on the 14. And then of course, the GAN 12 is still the best GAN cube ever, and at this point, I'm losing hope that they will ever make a cube better than that. But I guess we'll see. For now, if you want a GAN cube, I'd still go for the 12, which is now the cheapest it's ever been. Anyways, that's all for someone from nowhere. See you guys later.
Hey guys, so today was my first time actually trying the GAN 14, and you know, I I actually really enjoy the 13, so I was looking forward to this cube. I would never actually main one, but I do enjoy the feeling of the GAN cubes the last few years. But I gotta say, I'm kind of disappointed in this one. It almost feels like there's just too much going on. It feels like similar to a GAN 13, but it almost just feels like there's too much in there, but at the same time, it's uncontrollable while also feeling tight. And like, I had a pop somewhere in my solves. Yeah, I'll be honest, it was one of the harder times I've had solving for an everyone solves. It's a little disappointing when it's an $88 cube. So for a while I thought GAN has been going in the right direction, and it's possible that with just some messing around it could get better, but overall I think the GAN 13 is fine. Yeah, I don't recommend this. Like, I don't know what else to say.
The best way to make a GAN 14 work is you get a GAN 12. Hey, it's Jules. The GAN 14 is here, and I wish it wasn't. The latest iteration of GAN's flagship is packed with so many features that you're probably wondering if half of them even work. I'm here to tell you that they do work, just in the worst possible way. The auto alignment is far too strong and will attract in the opposite direction, causing turns to be incomplete. This can be countered really easily if you have a harder turning style, but then you'd find yourself overturning because there's absolutely no resistance in this puzzle, even on the tightest setting. And on the tightest setting, it is extremely unstable. By dumping a bunch of lube in this puzzle, it becomes usable, but it ends up too lubey, and then it becomes unnaturally fast again within a few solves. I am literally unable to turn fast on this puzzle, in fear that it will pop or just completely disintegrate in my hands. And that's all, folks. But here's some cool things about this cube. For those who found that the 13 was too similar in feel to the 12, the 14 feels completely different than the 12. Just really, really bad. The packaging is really cool though, and I know that you guys are gonna buy this because GAN, but I really can't recommend this puzzle. I am really, really curious if most of you guys can actually tame this puzzle, and I'm looking forward to seeing some awesome solves on it, but it's just not for me. GAN hater, out of here.
Hey, nice solves, Jules. But anyway, let's talk about the GAN 14. So this is the most expensive GAN cube that's ever released, and out of the box, it's absolutely unusable. You pay $88 for a cube that isn't great when you get it, which I think in 2023 is kind of unacceptable. All the other top flagship cubes, even Moyuve started lubing their flagship cubes. So when you open them up, they're not totally rattly and so loose that they feel like they're going to fall apart. So something that GAN touted as like the selling point, which is the 1296 different options or combinations, I think is kind of a hindrance when you're talking about a usability score. Most people just want a puzzle they can use, especially one that they've paid almost $90 for. It should be usable out of the box. It shouldn't be that difficult to set up. There's just a lot of things on the checklist that you go down whenever you're buying a cube, and I don't think this checks any of them. It's not a bad cube. I got pretty decent times on it, and it turns pretty well. I still have the locking issue, like whenever I'm trying to get a good time, I tend to lock up a lot more on the GAN, even like the 12, which is the best one. So I'm not a massive fan. I prefer some of the other flagships, and even non-flagships at this point. The RS3 V2 is great. The RS3 2020 is still great, and it's scratchy out of the box, but it's $8. If you pay $8 or it's a budget cube, you go in knowing I'm gonna have to do a lot of work on this and set it up. But when you pay $90, you want something usable out of the box. So safe to say I'm not a massive fan, but I don't think it's a complete failure. It's a good cube once you get it set up to the way that you can turn it or the way that you like. It isn't a bad cube, but it's just not a $90 cube in my opinion.